Just like it's a rule in American politics that there's a tweet for everything, particularly when it comes to Donald Trump, it often is the case that there's a video for everything. And I want to remind everyone that back during the campaign, Trump was constantly warning his supporters of the damage that Kamala Harris would do, not just in general, but specifically on the economy. Take a look.
If Harris wins this election, you will quickly have a Kamala economic crash. You're going to have a crash. You could also have a crash like in 1929, more specifically, because that's where we're headed. We're going to have a crash, and we're going to have a crash like a 1929 crash if she gets in. You saw a gentleman yesterday who got up, one of the top analysts in the world, frankly, and said that if Trump isn't elected, he predicts, and he's predicting you have a stock market crash like 1929. If Kamala won, you would go down to a 1929 style depression. I believe that too. No, that'd crush your incomes and kill millions of jobs and wipe out your savings. We're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, but you are going to let that happen, or not really let that happen. I got to give him credit. Make that happen, I think, is more of what it is. So it's one thing to just continually say she's going to crash the economy. She's going to crash the economy. And remember at the time as he's saying that, almost like a chant over and over at every speech, along the way, we're getting some positive economic news. Clearly not enough to change the result of the election, but the stock market did reach record highs. So he'll go from she's going to crash the economy to the stock market's going up because people think that in 9 months I'm going to win, to right back to she's going to crash the economy or whatever. When she wasn't responsible for any of this. She wasn't in charge at the time. But he wanted to take credit for things as they were going up, even as he was anticipating that she was going to destroy things. Then he gets into power, and not only is he the one that's presiding over the exact sort of crash that he's alluding to earlier, but he does it in the way that we got to the crash that he was alluding to. Like, does he not know what led to 1929? Does he not know why we ended up in that position? Obviously, it's complex. There's lots of differences and everything. But some of the core policy changes are strikingly similar, which makes me think that he is familiar with the history. He just drew all the wrong lessons from it. And so anyway, like a lot of the evidence of this is still up there. You can see his Truth Social posts, 1929 style economic depression. If I win, you're 3 days away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, and the brightest economic future the world has ever seen. But we're not seeing anything like that. What big paychecks? Your paycheck is going to be effectively so much smaller when you're trying to buy things that are 10, 20, 30, 50% more expensive than they already were. And look, I know that generally, yes, I'm sure you've experienced this many times. You point out this hypocrisy and it doesn't seem to matter. Nobody cares. I feel like this one should be strong enough and undeniable enough that it breaks through. But what do you think?
I mean, yeah, like we were just talking about these short-term memory. The thing that is so baffling about this is that we are literally watching video of the things that he has said. There are records of the things that he has said. No one is expected to just remember everything that he said about every topic because, as you said, there's so much going on that we can't be expected to remember all of it. Our brains aren't supposed to work that way, but there are records of these things, so we don't have to rely on our faulty memories. So what is the excuse from Republican voters here to excuse all of these things that he is saying or things that he has said? What is their excuse? How do they defend him when, as you said, he looks at something that has once happened and draws all of the wrong conclusions from it? As you pointed out earlier in the story, there is less certainty than they would like you to believe as far as what's going to happen whenever we put all these tariffs on all of the countries in the entire planet, right? Almost all of the countries got hit with tariffs, including the penguins. There's historical reference to remind us or to tell us or to inform us where we're headed, right? It's not that big of a mystery. And also, I just want to say it is sad because I don't want to hope that people's bank accounts continue to falter and fail. I don't want the market to be so terrible for the next 2 years so that people remember so that they feel that pain while they're in the voting booth. But unfortunately, as soon as things get a little bit less uncomfortable for people, they really forget about a lot of the discomfort that they endured. There are the handful of people, though, who will suffer more long term consequences from a lot of this stuff. They won't be able to replenish some of the things that they've lost. People, even in times of very, very specific short term periods of loss, they can really derail somebody's finances, right? You can lose your house, you can lose your car during that time. So, a
Yeah.
lot of Americans, most Americans we know, aren't able to miss one or two paychecks without suffering financially in some significant way. And, now we're seeing that people could be losing their retirement. They could be losing access to Social Security. They might get rid of SNAP, things like that. So a lot of these pains, like I said, I don't want to be like, I hope that they endure for 2 years so that we can finally vote these people out. But people need to just remember the things that they're enduring right now and the
Yeah.
discomfort, and not just the discomfort, but the complete lack of respect that they're seeing from their leaders, right? Trump is making all these gambles and he's doing all these things and he's golfing because he's so unbothered because he's not ever going to be the one who suffers from the decisions that he is making.
Yeah, again, I understand you're, talking about like you don't want to hope for everything. For me, I can predict. We even before he made all these changes, we know that he's not going to pursue policies that are going to benefit the broadest segments of America. He's just not going to. His policies are going to be what he thinks is going to benefit the rich. By the way, it turns out that doesn't necessarily mean that it will benefit the rich in the long term. Maybe he's too stupid to actually do that, but that'll be the goal. And now that we've even seen some of these policies out there, that doesn't look like it's going to benefit people. And so regardless of what I hope for, and what I hope for is for people to do well and be well and all of that, he's pursuing policies that are going to continue to economically hurt them. And even though things improved under Biden, they were still so frustrated that they once again threw out the incumbent. I can't see how making things actively worse and not even expressing concern about the fact that things are getting worse could possibly help him 4 years from now with whichever Republican decides to run after him. But we'll be around, we'll see, we'll report on it. If you enjoyed that, make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming an actual member. But you're probably wondering, why the hell would I do that, John? First off, calm down. The stakes in this are very, very low. But also, when you click the join button and you become a member, you get access to bonus content that I make every week, and it's a ton of fun. You get access to tons of custom emojis and more besides that. By the way, if you join at tier 3, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself and other awesome people, and we always have a great time. By the way, you'll get all that going forward, but you also unlock years of the back catalog. That is literally 100 or more bonus clips, top 10 lists, debates, and more. What are you waiting for? Click the join button below. Your support powers our show, and we couldn't do it without you. Or at the very least, I wouldn't really want to try. Viewers like you keep me here. So thank you in advance for joining.